All right, just to confirm for the listeners who I have on the phone here, it is the legendary Funky Flirt. Is it you, sir?
Hey, what's happening, man?
What is happening? Where are you in the world right now?
I'm in the UK, man, in Essex.
Essex. I gotta ask, are you a football fan? You a footballer?
Yeah, I'm a Tottenham fan.
Tottenham. And are you one of those hooligans? Are you out there brucking up people?
Nah. I'm a peace love guy.
That's awesome. It's something one of my friends out here has actually been asking a lot of the artists as they land, and I forget. Like, it's like hockey in the UK. Like, you come to Canada, hockey is our thing, right? Not soccer as we call it here.
Soccer.
Soccer. Yes. Okay, so before we dive into industry questions, I'm going to ask you a couple fun ones, get to know you as an individual. Is that okay?
Okay, yeah, man.
Okay, let me ask you something. Do you remember what the first CD or album you ever purchased with your own money was?
Oh, no, I can't.
That's okay. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you remember what the first concert you ever attended was?
Concert, well, the biggest concert what I went to, the first one I went to, well, you could say it was well, it wasn't really a concert. It was a rave. It was Telepathy. Not Telepathy. Yeah, it was Telepathy at Michael Solbell's.
You know what? And the thing is, a lot of the people I talk to aren't as pioneered, I guess, as yourself. I've spoken to some tenured guys, but you're someone who predates what we would consider our jungle culture. But it's interesting to me that the first party you went to was Telepathy. Was it jungle at the time?
Yes, it was jungle. It was.
And what year are we talking?
Oh, we're talking about 90. Well, no, not 91. I've been raving from like 98. You know what? Sorry. You know what? One of the first big events I went to was what is the name of it? Kamazaki, I think it was. Kamikaze.
Kamikaze.
Yeah, and Woodstock. Those were like two of the biggest outdoor events. Like when I first getting into the scene, it was, and the first like big proper rave I went to, it was Telepathy. It was.
Okay, then let me ask you this: when would you say jungle music was first born? What year would you put a finger on and say, you know what, that's when jungle was the stuff we call jungle today was born?
Oh, do you know what? Well, it was hardcore. What was coming out in hardcore ragga jungle? I'd say like from like about 1991, I would say roughly.
You would say the jungle was born around 1991?
Well, it's hardcore. Yeah, jungle was born. I'll say about 93. About 92, 93, roughly.
Okay, let me ask you this then, because it's a common misconception of the two different names for one genre of music. What would you say is the difference between jungle and drum and bass?
I would say jungle has got more of a ragga beat to it than drum and bass.
To be honest, that's what I've always thought it was, but I've heard from people that it was actually more of a response that promoters were being told they couldn't book clubs under the name jungle, so they started to call it drum and bass. But really, there isn't a difference in the sound, or there shouldn't be. What do you say to that?
Yeah, yeah, I was kind of saying, you see, like, we went through kind of, back up where we went through a kind of phase where a lot of the DJs then stopped playing the ragga jungle, basically, because they were saying there was like, basically they were trying to say basically it was the crowd was too black. Basically, they were saying, and there was too much trouble in the raves. So a lot of clubs then were saying no, they don't want they didn't want that type of music, basically. You know, and a lot of big artists then stopped playing it. But a lot of us us carried on playing it because we're saying no, we're not having someone dictate to us basically what we should play basically, and we carried on playing it, and you know it just the trouble fizzled out basically. You know, you had mine few little groups what were going around and causing the trouble in it, and you know we just said we don't want it. You know, a lot Kool FM and a lot of other radio stations used to say basically that is it. If you carry on causing the trouble in the raves, we're gonna have nowhere to go. You know, and then garage came about, and a lot of the troublemakers kind of went onto that kind of scene, and you know we're still here today, basically with jungle, basically.
Well, you know what? It's interesting. There's a couple things you touched on. First of all, saying the black people. You're the first person I think everyone I've ever brought this topic kind of beats around the bush, but I know what they're trying to say, and you bluntly just said it. The other thing is the platform of grime or garage giving these MCs, I guess, a conduit and diverting them away from jungle and towards those scenes, kind of cleaning up, if you will, the drum and bass scene. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you said. Because we had certain MCs in the rave. We'll go around and they would say it plain and straight. You got to stop this. You know what I mean? And even the ravers, when someone was starting troubling, they was like, no, you're messing up our scene. We're not having it. And the ravers then used to stand up to the troublemakers, and then that was it. They had to go and take their shit somewhere else, and it just come out. And you know, we're still, like I said, we're still here today, and we're still rolling. And a lot of artists then what stop playing. There's a lot of artists what turn around and say they don't want to play jungle no more. You know. And people like myself I play up front and I'm still playing jungle, we don't even really get a look in at certain raves then. They've got the mainstream DJs who they keep playing, and they're not really playing the proper old school beats to the ravers and educating them. No disrespect to anyone personally, but when you're playing jungle, you got to dig, man, and you got to come original. You can't be playing the top tens. And me personally, I've stopped playing a lot of the top tens because it's about educating the new ravers then about jungle. When you hear a DJ play, for instance, if Rocky was playing before me, I would play a different set altogether. I might drop one and two of the classics in, but I'm talking about classics from way back to educate the ravers. And a lot of the DJs, they ain't doing that. They're just playing the same thing. They're not listening to what the DJ before them's playing, and it's the same thing you're hearing, most probably the same tune in about 3 or 4 DJ set, you know?
Well, it's interesting, but that goes to so many things that I wonder, are they pandering to the crowd because they saw someone else play it and they know that they're going to get a response, or did they pre-plan the set and now they can't not play it? I don't know, but I'm with you. Let me ask you, because with what you were saying, it makes me think of this. Do you think a DJ has to cater to the slot that they're playing in?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Of course, and let me explain what I mean by it too. So if you're somebody who's opening up versus somebody who has the main time slot, do you think you should cater your set to that slot?
No, be yourself. Be yourself. Don't make no one tell you how to play, because you've got certain promoters turning around and saying to DJs, I want you to play this way. If me personally, if I'm booked to play, I always ask promoters when I'm booked, what do you want me to play? Do you want me to play an old school set? Do you want me to play how I normally play? I play like how Nicky Black Market plays. I will play, if I'm booked to play an upfront set, I would drop a couple old school bangers in, because that's what everyone knows Funky Flirt for. You know, if I'm playing an old school set, I will still drop some of the new beats in, the fresh beats, the bangers, because that's how I play. I play to how I play. I don't play to how a promoter wants me to play. Let me get that right. If a promoter wants me to play a specific way, I will do that because I'm booked to play that way. If you get what I'm saying.
I get you, and to be honest,
I wouldn't be playing an old school set and start banging it out with new school beats. I wouldn't do that because I'm not booked for that. If I'm just booked for old school, I would play strictly old school with some fresh upfront beats, anthems. When I mean anthems, I mean fresh beats was just come out where I know the crowd will go wow, because that's what people know me. I mean, I played in many raves years ago, and I still do it today. I mean, used to go in certain raves, and there used to be kind of like really no vibes in it. And by the third tune, I got them eating out my hands, jumping up, going mad, you know. And that's me. That's what people know me for. Just going there, banging it out, and enjoying myself and raving with the ravers.
Well, that's awesome. Let me ask you this then. What would you say to a DJ, not necessarily a promoter, but another DJ who says, you know, look at that guy, he's opening up, yet he's playing it like he's on the main time slot, playing bangers at the wrong time. What do you say to that person?
Listen, you could play any time is prime time, any time. And I've seen it many times, you know, top guys going, playing at prime time, and floppers. You know what I mean? They're not responding to the crowd. It's not about having the freshest beats. You could have the freshest beats, and you go in a rave and you flop. It's how you select. Look at the crowd and read the crowd. Me, I'm a lady selector. I look at the crowd, and like I said, I would drop the girly tunes in with the bangers, because that's the way how I play.
Definitely. The Mr. Flirt, I think, goes well with that style of music, does it not?
Yeah, that's me. I love it. I mean, you've got DJs. Then, if you see how I play, I mean, if you go on my Facebook page, and you will see me playing, and you see me dancing. I'm raving at the same time. A lot of DJs, they just stand up stiff like if they're a robot. And to me, that looks like you're not enjoying what you're doing. When you play, you should be enjoying what you're doing, performing to that crowd, and making them feel what you're feeling. If you go in there on a negative, in a negative way, you're going to play negative, and you're not really going to feel it. You're going to be in that thing. Oh, you know what? I'm just here to pick up my paycheck and go home. Nah, it doesn't run like that. Play how you want to play. I mean, people used to say, look at Andy up there clapping his hands and whatever. He's enjoying what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's what I like to see. I like to see a DJ enjoying himself while he's playing, not just standing up doing nothing. Because to me, you're not entertaining. You're boring.
No, it's very true, and I agree with you. I've had the blessing of driving some of the artists from the airport to venues out here in Toronto, and one of the things I've noticed is their love. Like, I like to say I love this music. It is a labor of love doing this show, but I don't know if I have the energy or passion that you guys have. Like I said, they get off 8-hour flights that were, 2-hour delay, yet they're still pumped up because they're going to be on stage in an hour. And I'm like, I'd be exhausted. Don't you want to eat? Don't you want to go to bed? No, mate. I want to spin. I'm going to destroy this place tonight. And it's like, wow.
That's it. I mean, you was with Kenny over the weekend, wasn't you?
Yes. I had the blessing of driving Kenny.
And I mean, while you was with Kenny, you see how Kenny plays. While he's playing, he's enjoying himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. You go overseas and you enjoy yourself. You show them people what you're about, and they will respond to you. But if you go over there with a negative attitude, then who's this dude? Who is he? He's full of himself. You know what I mean? It's not about that. You know what I mean? And many people will say it to me, how you get so much energy? You know what I mean?
It's the truth, man. It's a love, I guess. But I want to take it back a little. I want to ask you something about the systems we're dealing with today versus what we once had. Do you come from a sound system background?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I got to ask you, do you believe that we've somewhat sacrificed our quality for quantity when it comes to sound systems nowadays?
Sorry? Some. I mean, if you see like what's happening in dancehall right now, I don't like it, man. You know, I've been listening to a lot of sound systems through the years, and I was listening to a set the other day on Mixcloud. What's it? Sentinel, German sound. I was listening to them and Ruler, and I'm like, mate, you've let the tune play for not even a minute, and then you're bringing in another one. You've let it play for 30 seconds, and then you're bringing in another one. You've let it play for 10 seconds. That's, to me, that's not enjoyable. I want to hear the whole of your dub. I don't want to hear just 10 seconds of it, and then the next one coming, and the next one. That's not enjoyable. You know, they need to go back to how it used to be. Enjoy the music, enjoy what you're doing, and let people stand up and, well, not stand up, let people dance. If they've got their partners in it, let them dance with that. You can't dance to a tune and it's changing every 10 seconds. Do you get what I'm saying? To me, that's not sound system. That ain't. And a lot of DJs, they do it when they're playing on the radio and all. I mean, I listen to Eastman. I mean, I work with Eastman on Kool London. And if you listen to how he plays, he lets the music breathe. Then they bring in the next one. You know? So you're hearing the whole of the tune. Not every 10 seconds, every 30 seconds, chop, 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 chop. And a lot of DJs do that as well, you know? And like people turn around and say to me, why don't you mix like how the other guys them are doing it? I'm like, it's not about doing that, fitting in 200 tunes in a hour set. To me, it's boring after a while, because you're just there and the MC's just going over it. And what people got to realise is the DJ comes first, and then the MC. You work together. But some people forget, some MCs forget that. Some MCs think it's all about them, and it's not, well, 50-50, but it's not about that. It's about working together and giving the crowd them what they want.
Well, I think simply put, you can have a show without an MC. You can't have a show without a DJ. And nowadays we got the rat-a-chat. Everybody wants to be like Skibba MCs. I said we're losing the art of your GQs, your navigators, your dynamites. I love SP. And to be honest, I recently saw Ton Piper and IC3, both guys who I know could mash up a mic but did not, were able to host the sets that they were put on. And it was, to me, it's an art that's been lost.
Yeah.
I don't know if people appreciate, maybe there's not enough grandeur in it. I don't know. But yeah, it's, you know, here's the thing. When people start rat-a-chatting, that's when the crowd starts going nuts and you get all these people waving their hands, jumping in front of your face. But when you host a good set, the reward from the crowd isn't as, I guess, instant gratification, I guess. You don't see it right away. It's more like a fine wine that you appreciate over years, if you will. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you know what? I love IC. I love IC, you know, and there's not very much MCs what work the way like how IC does. IC goes with the crowd and he works with the DJ. If he hears the DJ bringing in a mix, he stops for a little while, let the mix come in, and then go. A lot of these MCs nowadays, they're chatting all over your mix. All over it, and then they're shouting, yeah, engineer, turn the mic up. No, the mic is loud enough. You know, if this monitor's in front, sometimes I have to look at the engineer and I have to say, take the MC out of my monitors. I can't hear what I'm mixing. You know what I mean? And it's terrible sometimes, it is. You know what I mean? But a lot of MCs do work with the DJs, and you've got a lot of MCs what don't. You know, it shouldn't be this way. Sometimes it seems like it's just all about them. They forget about the DJ. You know what I mean? The crowd's shouting for a reload, and they're just going on and going on. Look what's happening out there. You know what I mean? And you will find Funster. Love the way Funster works. He works with the crowd and he works with the DJ. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Deck, he works with the crowd and he works with the DJ, you know? Moose, Ragga Twins, you know what I mean? Black Hawk, like, you know, they all look what's happening out there and looking at the DJ for signals. You know, I always signal a DJ to say, yeah, the mix is coming in or whatever. You know what I mean? But sometimes I say, I need to go back to my old ways, how I used to do. People used to know me back in the days of telepathy when I first started. They used to call me the chopper man, because that's how I used to mix. You'd be there and I just chop the tune straight in, out, straight in, out. You know, but you know, sometimes you just have to move on, and that's what I've done. But you know, sometimes depending what rave it is, I'll go back to that way. Chop it in, chop it out, chop it in, chop it out. And some people love that, but a lot of the new ravers, I mean, no, they do know what I'm doing, and a lot of them come up to me and say, Flirt, I like the way how you carry on and doing how you used to do things years ago. I love that. No one's doing that, you know? And I just try to be myself and not try to be anyone else.
Well, and I respect that. I got to ask this then. What do you think it is, technically or otherwise, that separates a good DJ from a great DJ?
So the phone was just cracking up then. So, can you say that again?
Yeah, no problem. My question is, what do you think it is that separates a good DJ from, let's say, a great DJ?
That's a hard one there. Personality, you know, me personally, and Nicky Black Market does it a lot. And basically, you know what? I think I'm a great DJ. No, not being big-headed, you know. I've got time for the ravers, because without them, I'm not picking up my paycheck at the end of the night. I've got time for them. I high-five them. I take pictures with them. You know, and I've seen it before. Some DJs and MC, some people, I could have a picture with you, and it's like, nah, and fall through. If you're arrogant, it doesn't matter how good you are. Those are the people who you've got to show respect to. And to, all right, if someone's drunk and whatever, you know, I'll say, you know what, mate, yeah, I'll take a picture of you and done, you know what I mean? And then you get people who just go in and just start being stupid, you know, want to MC in your area or whatever, you know what I mean? And then you get someone at the front of the stage showing you their phone, oh, can you play this tune? You could, you know, if I've got time to play it, I'll play it in my set for you. Because that's me. That's Funky Flirt.
Yeah, how about the drunk, sweaty person that wants to put their arm around you for the photo?
Well, I'll leave that to my missus to deal with, because she'll turn around and tell them plain and straight, you know what, you could have a picture, but you don't need to be lynching onto him like that.
Get off of me. I brought it up to Kenny, actually, in the car, and he's like, Bregin, that's the one thing I cannot stand. You know, I'm like, I can imagine. They're drunk. They don't realize how wet and sweaty they are, and they just want to get in there. And you're trying to be kind about it, right? But you know, it's tough. It's loud. People don't hear, like, excuse me, don't touch me. So you've got to kind of push yourself off of them. And then you get somebody who says something like, yeah, he was rude. He pushed off of me. It's like, no.
Well, that's it. My missus does a thing like, well, when they try doing that, she gets deodorant. She says, no disrespect, but I think you need to spray yourself down a bit, you know what I mean? Or she get her perfume out and start spraying them. But me personally, everyone knows me. They used to call, like, some people will say, where's the towel? I always walk with a towel. It's always round my neck. Do you know what I mean? And I've had ravers then come up to me, do you mind if I use a towel to wipe my face? I'm like, nah, mate, I'm not into that. You know what I mean?
What the That's weird.
Go to the toilets and freshen up yourself. You know what I mean? And I've had it all the time. I've had like people when I'm walking pull my towel off around my neck to wipe themselves down.
Are you?
And I used to be an arrogant cunt years ago. Excuse my French. I used to be arrogant, and I used to. What do you think you're doing? Do you know what I mean? And I'm just like, you know what, mate? If you wanted to use my towel, ask me. You don't need to be pulling it off. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, they're fucking high and drunk, though, Funky.
You're rude. You're rude. I'm rude. You're the one was rude. You just walked up to me. You don't even know me, and you want to take my towel and wipe yourself down. Nah, go to the toilet and go and wipe yourself down. Do you know what I mean? My partner hates it because no matter where I go in the world, someone would always turn around and go, Flirt, or call me by my first name. We went to Jamaica for the first time. We was walking in the airport, innit? Mm-hmm. And someone turned around, I can't remember his name, turn around, Flirt. You know what I mean? We've been country places where I've never been before, and someone's Trevor, and she's like, do you know that person? I'm like, I can't remember their name. I'm old now. You know what I mean? Our sinus is setting in and all that.
Oh man.
You know, I was supposed to come Canada many years ago, but it didn't go through. Do you know what I mean? But that's one place I'd really love to like come and play. Canada, Toronto. You know, like I've got family and that over there. I'd love to come out there and play.
Well, maybe we'll talk to some promoters. We'll try and get you out here. Typically, we do mini little tours, like we do Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, sometimes out to Calgary, Vancouver. But we'll talk about that more off the show.
Yeah.
One thing I've got to touch down on is Kool FM, Kool London. Where did that begin? Can you take me back and tell me how you got involved, what the mission statement was?
Right, with Kool FM, when I first started DJing, I was on a station called Sunrise FM, and I think I started on Sunrise I think it was about 89 or 88, something like that. Basically, I got into DJing by listening to like the likes of like DJ Ron and a couple other DJs, and I was basically got the chance to get on Sunrise. At the time with Sunrise FM, it was Rat Pack was on there, LSD was on there, Matthew B was on there. You know, there was quite a few big DJs on there, and I couldn't really mix at that time there. Jim the Music Man was on there, and one day he said, Flirt, you need to come to my house there, and I'll learn you to mix. And I was up his house for a day. By the time I left there in the night time, I was mixing. Not 100%, but I got the drift of it. And yeah, I just carried on from there. Kool FM, from Kool, I was basically, I had a friend, his name was Dicer. He used to live in the same flats as me, and he goes, you know what, yeah, I'm thinking of starting a station. I was like, you know what, go for it, mate. He started Rush FM. I was on Rush FM basically the same time as I was on Sunrise FM. Getting the bookings here and there. Got my first booking at Telepathy, Marshgate Lane. From there, I never looked back. I used to do my own nights as well, down in Covent Gardens. I used to do Thames Barrier Arms, the Acorn Pub. I used to do little things. I used to do like little pubs and that I used to do, and do my own nights. And then with Rush, I was on there for so many years. Was working with Shabba and Remark, Lieutenant Stitch was on there. Sparks. There was quite a few of us on there, and I was like, you know what, I need to start doing something different. And I knew Eastman from back in the sound days, and basically started talking with him, and it's like, I want to come on the station. Do you know what I mean? And he's like, all right, leave it for a while. Left it for a little while, kept bugging him about it, and he said to me, yeah, you could come. So I went on to Kool. I think my first show on Kool was when they done Fever in Amsterdam, and mate, I couldn't believe it. The like my first show, I think it was a Friday night. DJ Ron and SL show. SL was a good friend of mine. We grew up on the same estate. We was in the same sound system, and he went on to Kool before me, because he was working with Ron a lot, and they was going under the name of Supreme Team. They was, and yeah, they went to Amsterdam and they asked me to cover their show, and boy, I'll tell you something, I have never seen a phone ring so much. I was like, it was just me one in the studio, and I was like, as you put the phone down, it would ring again. It ring again. It was, I mean, I'm talking about most probably, I think back in the days the BBC used to work it at, every phone call was like, I think 500 listeners or something like that. They kind of worked it at, and I'm talking about the phone. It just kept ringing and ringing. I think I've done a 3-hour show, and in the end, I just had to just like say, yeah, just sending in texts, and they was just sending in texts. You read all the texts out, you clear the box, you'll read them all out again. Then you just forever just clearing out the box, and I've just been on call ever since.
What year was that?
Oh, I think Chloe was born, I think, 94. I think it was around about 94 I went on call. Between 93 and 94 I went on there, I think it was.
It's amazing to me. We grew up listening to your tapes over here, and your sound made it to our generation, if you will, and because of guys like yourself and Eastman giving a platform for all these other artists, you know.
I think it was round about 96 or 97. Round about that time, I think I was supposed to go to Toronto. I was supposed to sort out a tour, but I don't know what happened, and it never happened, man. And ever since I've had like promoters, yeah, I'd love to get you over here, and I'm like, well, get in contact with me and we'll sort a mini tour out.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I say, there's already been a few guys that have been on the show that we've had over here. We have one coming recently. It's going to be Decline is going to be here July the 5th. I had nothing to do with it. It's all coincidental. I can't say it's, oh, you got on my show and now I've passed them on and they end up getting booked here. It's usually a coincidence. But I like to think maybe I'm just bringing awareness to some artists that people are seeing through the show. It's possible.
Do you know what? Maybe you should turn an agent and start looking getting like all the DJs, like UK DJs. You know, just I mean, it's not always about the big acts. You've got many upcoming DJs out there who's making a name for themselves, but then they just don't know how to go about it. And I mean, a lot of these agencies nowadays, I mean, I've just gone back on the agency because basically I haven't got the time to be sitting down and contacting like promoters how I used to do it back in the days. You know what I mean? I still contact promoters, and if they're interested, I pass them on to my agent. But you could have a headliner, and you could have like 1 and 2 upcoming DJs who are making a name back here, and I'm sure in Canada there's a lot of listeners out there or ravers who know about certain upcoming DJs out here.
Yeah, definitely. I would say the thing is that we have in a disconnect in my dealings. Like I promote a little myself, and when I talk to agents overseas, there's usually a good bargaining agreement that goes on because of the disconnect on who we are versus who we once were. And some of these agents are like, you know, I want this much for this artist, and it's like, dude, that's not going to happen. You know, we're not bringing in 2,000-3,000 people. We're bringing in 200-300. So past your flight and your accommodations, there's not much room for a booking fee. And when you tell an artist who's, let's say, able to get bookings on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday over in England, yeah, you're going to come over to Canada, we're going to pay for your flight, your accommodations, and a little thing here and there, but you're not going to get paid much. Guys aren't willing to do it. Agents don't want to hear it. And there's also a lot of one-offs going on right now. You talk about tours. I find that is the best way to do it, to work with other promoters. But I find a lot of people right now are also going independent and throwing their own parties, paying for their own airfares. And like at Kenny just came out. He ended up landing a second show while he was here. But the original agreement was he was coming out here, playing for Peaceful Entertainment on Friday, doing nothing on Saturday, and then going home on Sunday. You know, he wasn't coming out here for a week and hitting up a bunch of cities by any means. You know what I mean?
See, like with me personally, I mean, it's not always about the money, you know, and that's the difference between me. If someone turns around and says, "Well, this is what we could do," me personally, I'd say, you know what? I'll tell you what. Line a tour up, yeah. I'll come out there, and we'll under the understanding that, say, 3 months down the line, you're gonna have something else for me under that kind of understanding agreement, you know. And like I said, I mean, I forgot the guy's name. He was supposed to sort it out for me to go to New York. Someone was supposed to lined up was going to sort it out in New York. I was supposed to go, was it Jersey, Buffalo, and somewhere else. And I knew it wasn't a lot of money, but I said to him, you know what, just sort it out, everything, accommodation and everything, and you know what, I'm happy. And they just kept messing about for like a good little while, and then I'm like, hey, the rave's only a month away. What are you saying? If you confirmed it, and oh, we're waiting for this person, we're waiting for that person. I'm like, well, you got to get a move on because you got to start promoting it. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
And I was like some people were saying to me, you've got what you're gonna do? You might get stopped, and if they turn around and find all your USBs, then they're gonna say, yeah, you're coming out here to work, and you ain't done this form or whatever. I said, no, everything's got to be sorted out proper because that is the last thing I want to do. Get on a plane for so many hours and get all the way over there, and they're like, oh, you ain't got your work permit, or you ain't got this, you ain't got that. Nah, we're sending you back. I'm like, come on, man, you need to sort it out, and they never sorted it out, man.
Well, and I don't want to start throwing names out there and name the wrong people. So, you know what? You and I will talk, like I say, a little bit more off record. But let's get through the interview, and then we'll talk a little bit more about this, okay?
Yeah, man.
All right, I got two final fun questions for you. The first one, are you familiar with the Mount Rushmore Monument in the United States with the four faces?
Yeah, I know about the four faces.
Okay,
yeah.
So my question to you is this. If we were to create a monument, Mount Rushmore, for the jungle scene, what four faces do you believe would belong there?
Stormin.
Wow, okay. R.I.P.
Stevie I.
R.I.P.
Stormin, Stevie I.
Are we going into tenor fly and chemistry?
Rocky and chemistry, yeah.
Brocky and chemistry. So Brocky, our only alive person, paying homage to the soldiers that we've lost along the way. I respect that. Okay, if you were to create a vault, if you were to put 5 items into a vault that would encapsulate the rave culture. So in 20,000 years, they're going to dig up this vault. We want to know what the rave once was. What 5 items would you put in that vault?
My decks.
Okay.
Well, I ain't got it no more, but I was thinking of getting one done. My flirt ring, two finger, same funky flirt.
All right.
A love dove.
Hold on. Do you have a helper in the background that is helping you know what items?
That's a little one. That's my partner.
Oh, hello.
A dove, like with a little message about it, and a couple records, and the last one will be a photo of myself with a couple of the raves what I've done.
Like some photos of old school raves.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. You mentioned a couple records. Let's say we could only hold you to one. What record would you have put in there if you could only put one?
We Are E.
We Are E.
Yeah.
Interesting. I like it. Okay, here. I want to talk to you a bit more, but I'm going to sign off to the listeners. So stay on the phone with me, okay?
Okay.
All right, awesome. Guys, as always, there will be links down below to this man, but if you don't know who he is, come on, wake up. Thank you for tuning in, as always. And until next time, peace out.